Hi, in this video we're probably gonna finish this scene and prepare for our final render. So this is where we left on the last scene. You're gonna just open 20 begin. We have this shader almost done. In the meanwhile, we've hidden all the rest of our geometry so we can do quicker previews. So let's add the last layer to this shader that I have prepared. I'm gonna go ahead, bring another V-Ray material. We're gonna call this metal code 01. Plug it to the code 01, and then I'm going to bring some diffuse and bump. So duplicate this, connect it to my place texture. We can call this code 1 diffuse. Let me move my outliner. Code 1 diffuse. Okay. Plug it in. And now we can do the same with our bump for that specific So this is our bump, and this is going to be our bump. Let's adjust our bump settings to maybe something like 0.15, and we're going to use this same bump as our mask. Actually, I was looking in the wrong column. Here we go. Let's take a quick render, see what that looks like. So we've added a new, I know it's very hard to see, but we've added a new layer. We could actually try, sorry, we have so much information going on here, but we could try to just break this in so you guys can see a little bit what's going on. Bring it here. Just a little bit that we're adding in, and I'm more worried about the specular that we're going to add to this one. I want this one to have, let's open the reflection. I'm going to set this to white. I'm going to set my reflection glossiness to 0.6, give it enough subdivision so it's not too noisy. And then we're going to go ahead and duplicate this guy with its connections. Okay, where did it come? Here. Plug it in the reflection amount. You guys don't really see, so there you can see. Add value, reflection color amount. Adjust this. I want it to be a little bit more because it's kind of like a very thin dust. So I want it to be a little bit more reflective than what we had on the other one. That should be better. We're still going to be using Blinn and Fresnel reflections. So let's organize this. We could always come take this guy and ask it to organize it for us. It's not really helpful because it puts it in different orders. So this is our code 1. Let's see how that render looks. And I am liking, we can see we've added new speculars. It's very subtle, but it's a combination of those very subtle layers would start making things really, really realistic. So now with this, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to clean here. And we're going to start adding displacement to all of our geometry. So I'm going to select this here. I'm going to go down all the way to my extra attributes. I don't want to subdivide my UVs, and I'm going to set this to maybe 128. So we have enough subdivisions for our displacement map. And with that selected, I'm going to graph it because I'm interested here on the shading group, the SG. So I'm going to bring a displacement. Here it is. We can call this displacement shader metal displacement. And I'm going to bring a file. Setting the displacement in V-Ray is really easy. There's just a couple steps you need to follow. First is to add the subdivision. Then you add a displacement to your shading group. And here in the file, I'm going to load my metal displacement. Here it is. Didn't load. Yeah, there we go. Metal displacement. And now we can just plug this in. We want to plug in the color out color RGB any of the colors to our displacement. Now with this selected, I'm interested in the SG, in the shading group, and we can drop the displacement here. Now with this, one thing that you want to do with the texture, if you go to attributes, you want to add the texture input gamma and the allow negative colors, because we want to process this as a linear image and we want to be able to have negative colors. So you have to do that for every file node that it's going to be for displacement. So now we've done the displacement for this. Again, let's do a quick render. Everything gonna start going really slow now because we have way more subdivisions, we have displacement, we have a lot of files, a lot of very complex files. So this is what happens. Okay, but now we have like a little bit more, like more form and things like that. So actually what I'm gonna do now is that I'm gonna pause the video and do the same thing I just did. Add a displacement shader to the shading group, and that displacement shader is going to be connected to my file that I have to set the gamma, the input gamma to linear and allow it to have negative colors. And I connect either of the RGB to my displacement. So I'm going to do that for the three other objects, the body, the shell, and the trail. And just so we don't waste time, I'm going to pause the video and we'll continue when I've done all of that. Okay, so I've gone and applied the same procedure to every single geometry. We have now a body displacement. We just click on it. You can see that I've attached the body displacement file. We have the metal, the shell, the trail, and now we have every single one of them. I've raised the subdivisions to 128 on each one. Make sure subdivide UVs is not set on. So now we can go ahead and click a render to see how that's going. Since this render is going to take longer, I'm also going to pause during the render, and then I'll unpause once the render is done. So let me open here. I'm going to not have the region. I just want to have the entire area. So I'm going to go ahead, click render, and we'll continue when it's done. Okay, so render is done. It took quite a long time, especially for me. I'm working on an older MacBook Pro laptop, but we have some really nice layer shaders, and this was the entire point of this tutorial, was to create really complex shaders, show you guys what's the right way to approach such kind of shaders. So we're going to stop here. I'm actually going to batch render this into a higher resolution. And then on the next video, we'll just do a quick recap of everything we learned. I'll show you the higher render, like the final render on a higher resolution. But I really wanted to show you guys how to go ahead and start building from the bottom up some really nice shaders where we have several layers of specular, refractive, SSS, different tiny elements, and all that. So on the next video, we'll just do a quick recap. I'll show you the final render on like that. I'll let batch render overnight, and I hope you guys have enjoyed it. So have fun working with these kind of shaders at home.